Hello guys, welcome back to this tutorials. In our previous video, we were able to learn how to create login form for our POS system. I would advise you to go and watch that particular video if you haven't done that. And in this tutorials, we are still going to focus on the client side of the application, that is the client layer. Now we'll be achieving three objectives in this particular video. One, we will create a dashboard using MDI form in Windows Form application. And the MDI stands for Multiple Document Interface, which is a single form that can host multiple pages. Two, we will link our login form to our dashboard. That means that we want to link our login form so that the user can enter his credentials before he gets access to the dashboard. Three, we will create our sales form and then open it in our MDI form. Let's get into it. So, on our last video, as I said, we were able to design our login form. So that's what you're having. Let's run and see how it was working. Okay, so this is where we got to on our last video. So let's test it again. Master. We log in. And we get pass. Great. So you enter wrong password, then you get this. So let's go straight and create our dashboard. So to use the MDI form, we will click on the POS.desktop UI. We will right click and go to add new. Then we go to new item. Then we will search for MDI. There's it, the MDI form. And the nice thing about Visual Studio is that it always gives you brief description of the particular form or the control you are using. So as you can see here, we are having multiple document interface application here. That is great. So let's name it as FRM. Let's make it dashboard. And let's click add. Now by default, the MDI form comes like this. So very nice one. And we are having all these menus up here, which we will not need some of them. But of course, let's run it and see how it behaves. And note, we run and see what will happen. We want to run our dashboard, but let's run it and see. Still, we are seeing the login form. So we have to change the startup form to our dashboard. So to do that, we just go to our client layer and go to the POS.desktop UI here. Then we go to program.cs file. Then that's where our application is running. So we can just change, instead of creating an instance of the login form, let's create an instance of the dashboard instead. So that's what is causing starting our application. So let's run it. Great. So this is our dashboard. But what you have to notice is that we want our dashboard to maximize anytime it opens. But you can see that when it opens, it's like this. And we don't want this feature. And another thing is that we don't like the form test here. This one we don't like. We want to make it, let's say, point of sale application or something like that. We want to change the name here. So let's go ahead and do that. So to do that, we will open our dashboard, and as you know, to change the text, you click on the dashboard, we go to the property using shortcut Alt Enter, then there's a text property. Let's make it point of sale. Let's make a system. Yes. Great. So now the text has been changed. The next thing is we want to maximize it anytime it opens. So that one, we will just go to the Windows state here and change it from normal to maximized. Now let's try it again. Great. So we are having what we want our application to do. So the next thing is let's explore how the MDI works. So as you can see, we have file here, and file, if you click on it, it will create new form for you. This is a default code that is in there, which we are not interested in. So we have to get rid of all this code. But I want us to see how by default what we can do with it. We have open that will open a page, your dialog for you. We have save, we have save as. All this we are not interested in it. The edit we are not interested. The view we want to use it. The tools maybe you can leave it there, then use it later. We have our windows, which we need it, but we don't need this particular feature. So for example, you can add new windows and the cascade will see what the cascade will do. Let's try the tile. That's how it will do it. Let's try arrange horizontally. So these features, yes, we need it, but the new window, we don't need it. So we take that one off as well. Okay, so let's go back and do that. Okay, so now let's go through our MDI form and see. So first of all, we want to delete all these ones here. And again, we want to also delete this side. So first of all, let's click here. We can click and hold, or we can click and just delete. You click on this one, then you press delete. Or you click on this one, you right click, then you go to delete. You can also click on it, press delete. You can click and hold number of them and press delete. So there's a separator here. Let's delete that one as well. Great. Now, we also want to delete the edit side as well. So let's click that one, then press delete. Great. And you remember with our login form here, we use font size of 15 for our login form, and we want to use that across our application. So let's click on our dashboard, go to properties. Let's change the font size to 15. Now, let's also change the background color to white. And now let's run our application. And see. Great. So we are having our application working nicely. Great, great. Okay. So the next stage is we want to link our login form to our dashboard. So we want the login form to start anytime we run the application, then wait for the user to enter his credentials. If the username and password is correct, then we will allow the user to open the dashboard so he can do whatever he wants to do in the application. If the credential is invalid, then we will prevent the user from accessing the dashboard. That's the second objective. So let's go ahead and do that. So to do that, we know that the application starts running from here. The application starts running from here. And one thing you should notice is that every form you open, you can change the behavior for the form to open as a dialog. Or anytime the form open, the form is a dialog. So for a dialog, it will normally return results. So we can force our login form to return a certain result when the username and password is accurate. Let me show you by doing it. So let's go to our login form and go to the button click event, the login button click event. Now, here what we are doing is that if the username is accurate, we show a message box saying that the password has passed. Now, this time around, we will not show this message, but rather we will set the dialog results of this particular form. So you can do this, meaning that on this form, dialog results equals to dialog results dot okay. Sorry, dot okay. So what it means is that if the username is accurate, then we will set the dialog result to be okay. Great. So then, in here, in our program.cs, what we will do is that we will create an instance of the login form here. Because we want to open the login form here. And we will show dialog. Show dialog. So what it means is that we are showing the login form dialog before even this. But then the show login dialog normally return a dialog result. So let's go inside the show dialog function in Visual C# and let's see. So to do that, you can just right click and go to definition. So you realize that this show dialog normally return dialog results. So what will happen is that anytime this code runs, it will show what we have here, whether the dialog result is okay. So if it passes, it will return as okay. So let's use a variable to accept the results. Now, what we will do then is after this, we will do if the result, is equals to dialog result dot okay. So if this happened, then it means that the username and password is valid. So we should allow the user to open the dashboard. So this is what we can do like this. Great. So now this is what we are doing. We created our login form. We show dialog. Then we accepted the results. Then we checked. If the dialog result is equals to okay, then we will open the dashboard. Basically, that is it. So let's go to our dashboard and check this one. And just let's run it and see what happens. In fact, let's put breakpoints here to see what is happening inside our code. So we click on it, start. Good. So realize now our code is here. Let's press F10 to go to the next line. Now this one is going to show the dialog like this. So let's enter the username and password. We click on it. It comes here and we realize that now the result is okay. So it means that the username and password was correct. Now it will allow us to open the dashboard like this. Great. Okay. So let's remove the breakpoints from here and run it again and see. Master. Let's try invalid password and see. Invalid password. It will give us a chance to try. Invalid password. You can try again. Invalid password. Invalid password. And let's try with the accurate password and see. We press enter. We are in. Great. So you realize your login form, anytime you press enter, it doesn't trigger the login button. So to do that, we just click on the login form and go to property and we set the accept button to the button login, to this button. So what will happen is that anytime you press enter, it will trigger this button. So again, you go to your the property of the form, make sure it's a form. Then you set the accept button to the button you want. So if I set it to the link label forget password, what it means is that anytime I press enter, it will trigger this event of this one, but I want it to be this. Great. So let's try it and see. Let's run our application. Let me enter the password, master, then press enter. Great. So you see that it has run our application. Great. So our last objective, that is to create sales form and open it inside our MDI form. So basically, we want to learn how to open form, another form, or a chart form inside the MDI form. So let's go ahead and create our sales form. So this particular sales form, what we will use that form to do is that is where the tellers will use to sell products. So let's go ahead and click on the desktop, right click. Let's add new form, new item. I always like using the search. So this one. So let's name it FRM, that is form sales. Press enter. So this is our form. Let's go ahead and use a label. So let's search for a label. Control, then drop it here. But let's go ahead and change even the background color to white, since we are using white for all of them, and change the font size to 15. Sorry. I mean the form, we are changing the form background to white. Okay, for the label, let's make it black. Make the label black. In fact, let me change the label to sales form so that we will see it when we open it inside the form. Great. So to open this page or this form inside the MDI form, let's go to our MDI form, that's our dashboard, and let's add new menu here. So to do that, you just click anywhere here, then you click in there, then type, let's call this tab our sales tab. Now let's click down here and call this one start POS. So after this, you can click on this button and notice that the name automatically has been set to POS. Then this one, of course, it's okay for us. So what we want is that anytime we click on this particular button or menu, it should open our form sales. Okay, so let's double click on it. Then we have the click event here. Now, if you open the MDI form, you see a lot of code there. That is what is doing the basic function in there. Of course, we don't need this one again. We don't need this again. So we can just delete them. But note that you can see that this particular function here is being referenced twice. So if you delete them, there might be problem. This one too is being referenced one, as you can see from here. So if you delete it as well, you will get problem. So to do it safely, let's click on the reference and click on this one of the reference. So we can click on this. If you are using Visual Studio, that is 15, you might not see some of these things. So let's just delete it, or let's comment, then run it. If you try running it, we realize that we have errors. So let's run it. Now I've seen that we have errors. So I'll click no and I'll go and check where the error is coming from. Now I've seen one here. I'll click on this one and I'll comment it. Or maybe I'll even comment all this line of code here. Now let me go back again and check the next line of error. I've seen this one as well. So I can just select this line, or select all of them, and comment this one as well. Now I've seen another one here. I'll select all this one and comment it. Now I come here and there's no error again. So I can close this one. Good. So in our Start POS menu, what we will do is that we want to show this form sales, this one. So let's do that. To open form, we create an instance of the form. So let's call it sales. Sales form equals to new FRM sales. Then of course we all know we do show dot form dot show, the instance dot show. Let's do this and run it and see what will happen. So let's click on run. Master, enter. Now we have our login our form here. Now let's go to sales and click on POS. That's what you have. Now if I maximize it, see it has opened as different form, and that's not what we want. We want this form to open as a chart of this particular form. So it should open inside the form, not outside the form. So let's go and do that. So to do that, what we do is that we have to inform this form, this new form, that it should open inside the dashboard. So to do that, we will just say sales dot MDI, sales form. I mean this instance here, sales form dot MDI parent equals to this. So what we are saying that, please, this form, this particular instance here, this is your parent. Your parent is this class, is this dashboard. Note that we are inside this dashboard. So we are saying that, please, this form, this is your parent. Your parent is this particular form, the form we are in here. Now, let's run it again and see. Master, login. Then we have now form. We come here, start. Now you realize that it's opening inside the parent's form. That's the dashboard. Great. Now, the last thing we want to do is that we want it to maximize anytime it opens. So we want it to be like this. We don't want it to be like this when it opens. So to do that, I hope you know how to do it. It's very simple. One, we can come here and go to the properties and set the Windows state to maximize. That is one way. But we can also do the same thing inside the code, and that is what I want to teach you this time around. So we come here. So before we show the dialog, we should just come here and say that the sales form dot Windows state. I was able to know that it's Windows state because inside the property, when we are setting it, we just come to the Windows state. This is the property. So I just know by that using this approach. So I'll set it to Windows state. The Windows state is an enum. Windows state dot no. Windows Windows state form, very good. It's form Windows state dot maximize like this. Great. So let's try it and see. Let's go here. Great. So now our application is working as expected. So we have been able to accomplish our 3 objectives. That is the first one. We were able to create our dashboard using the MDI. Our second objective, we were able to link our login form to our dashboard. And lastly, we were able to create our sales form and open it inside our MDI form. Thank you for watching these tutorials, and please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. On our next video, we will be designing our sales form. Thank you.